Once upon a time, in a kingdom filled with hope and wonder, the memory of a single enchanted night still lingered in every heart. At the grand royal ball, a mysterious young woman had captured the prince's gaze and vanished as the clock struck 12, leaving behind only a single glass slipper. As dawn broke the next morning, the prince stood before his palace gates, holding the tiny slipper in his hands. It shimmered in the sunlight, clear as crystal, delicate as a dream. "This slipper," he said softly, "belongs to the one I love. We will search the kingdom until she is found." And so the search began. Messengers rode through every town and village, carrying the royal decree. Every maiden, from noble ladies to humble farm girls, was invited to try on the slipper. Hope filled the land, for who would not dream of being the one chosen by a prince? Far away, in a quiet cottage at the edge of the forest, the news reached Cinderella's home. Her stepmother's eyes gleamed with ambition, and her stepsisters squealed with excitement. "Prepare everything," one cried. "The prince shall see me first." "No, it will be me," argued the other. "I will wear my finest ribbons." Cinderella listened quietly from the corner, sweeping ashes from the floor, her heart beating softly beneath her worn dress. Soon the sound of hooves echoed outside. The royal carriage stopped before their gate, and a handsome servant stepped forward, carrying a velvet cushion. Upon it rested the very slipper that had changed her life. The prince himself waited nearby, his eyes searching each face with quiet hope. One by one, the young women of the house stepped forward. The first sister forced her foot toward the slipper, twisting and tugging, certain it would fit. But no matter how she pressed or pulled, her heel refused to slip inside. The servant shook his head gently. "It does not fit, my lady." Then came the second sister. She puffed herself up proudly and shoved her foot into the glass shoe. For a moment, it seemed close, but the slipper was far too small. Her face turned red with frustration. "It must be the wrong slipper," she cried, but the prince only sighed. "No," he said quietly, "the right one has not yet come." The sisters whispered to each other in secret. "Cut a little off," one hissed. "When you are princess, no one will notice." But as she tried again, the slipper caught the light, and the truth sparkled within it. The prince saw the trick and turned away sadly. "This slipper was made for honesty and kindness," he said, "not for pride." Behind the door, Cinderella had watched every moment. Her hands trembled as she held her broom, her heart racing like wings in her chest. Could she step forward? Could she dare to hope that she was worthy of such a dream? For a moment, fear whispered, "Stay hidden." But then, a softer voice inside her heart reminded her. The voice of her fairy godmother. "Even when the world forgets you, never forget to believe in yourself." Cinderella took a deep breath and stepped from the shadows. The room fell silent. The stepsisters gasped, and her stepmother frowned. The prince turned, and though her dress was plain and covered in ash, something about her made the air shimmer. "May I try the slipper, please?" Cinderella asked softly. The steward scoffed. "This is no place for a servant." But the prince raised a hand. "Let her try." The servant knelt and placed the cushion before her. Cinderella lifted her foot, gentle, calm, and slid it into the glass slipper. It fit, as if the shoe had been shaped by magic, just for her. A light seemed to fill the room, bright and warm, and everyone gasped. Cinderella reached into her pocket and drew out the other slipper she had kept from that night. She placed it beside its twin, and together they gleamed like two stars, finding each other again. The prince smiled, joy shining in his eyes. "It was you," he whispered, "the one who danced with me beneath the moon." Cinderella blushed. but her smile was full of peace. "Yes," she said quietly. "It was me." Her stepmother fell to her knees, her face pale with disbelief. The stepsisters trembled, ashamed of their cruelty, and yet Cinderella looked at them with gentle eyes and said, "I forgive you. May you find kindness too, for kindness is the truest crown." Tears filled their eyes, for her words were softer than any punishment. The prince took Cinderella's hand, and the room filled with music once more, not from harps or drums, but from the sound of hearts made whole. Outside, the sun broke through the clouds, lighting the fields in gold. Even the slipper sparkled brighter, as though the light itself was rejoicing. From that day forward, the story of the glass slipper became a tale told across the land, not of riches or royalty, but of truth and courage. Because sometimes the smallest test reveals the greatest strength. Cinderella's journey had been full of fear. Fear of being seen, fear of being forgotten. But through it all, she chose faith. Faith that kindness would matter, that goodness would be seen, even if it took time. And in the end, it was that faith, not the slipper, that changed her life. She rode away beside the prince, her heart calm and full, as the kingdom cheered. And though the story might have ended there, its lesson lived on, that no matter how small you feel, or how great your trials may seem, your courage can fit the moment made just for you, perfectly, like a slipper of glass. And so, the test ended. The truth was revealed, and Cinderella's heart was finally free. For every trial she faced had shaped her into someone stronger, kinder, and full of grace. And as the stars rose that night, she whispered a quiet promise to herself, to always walk with hope, even when the road is hard. Because true magic is not in fairy, godmothers, or glass shoes. It's in believing, when no one else does, that your story still has light ahead. And that, dear listener, is how fear turned into faith, and how a simple slipper became the key to a beautiful forever. The end.